All right, welcome back to Cultural Geography. Last time we finished up talking about the Turkish coffee house. Now we're going to go back and discuss the land features that you need to know for the upcoming test. Now remember, you don't need to study the countries and capitals, but the land features will still be on the regular test. Therefore, you still need to fill it out on the test. Unfortunately, there were a couple students who thought they were all right to skip the map part of the test. No, please, don't skip the map part of the test. You still need to fill it out. It's a lot easier because now you've got the map with you to take it, but you still need to fill out the map. Otherwise, you lose the points. So, ignoring the numbers and only focusing on the letters on this map, to begin with, we have letter A, the Black Sea. The Black Sea is this body of water located here. We've talked about it in the past. Letter B is the Mediterranean Sea, located here. Letter C is the region of Anatolia. Basically, if you were to associate any part of most of Turkey, you would be fine with identifying Anatolia. Letter D is the Pontic Mountains, located to the north in Turkey. Letter E is the Taurus Mountains, located in the southern part of Turkey. Letter F, it's really difficult to see, but you can see the country of Israel right here, and then this little extra part of Israel is the West Bank. We'll talk in greater detail about the West Bank later, so it's located right in here. And then letter G, lastly, is the famous Mount Ararat, located on the east side of Turkey. Again, you don't need to study the countries and capitals, but you do need to know the land features for the upcoming test. Hopefully that helps clear everything out for all of you. Page 435 also shows you a map that we've just talked about in case you guys needed to repeat any of those locations for you. All right. Culture Geography, in case you forgot what class you are in, this is Chapter 18, Eastern Mediterranean. This area of the world is located at the conversion of three continents. Africa is to the southwest, Europe is to the northwest, and Asia is to the east. Most of the area that we'll be discussing in this chapter is located on the continent of Asia. This region has dealt with warfare over oil as well as religion. The Middle East has the largest supply of oil in the world. Countries have fought over the oil reserves throughout the last 100 years. And for more than 1,000 years, wars have been fought over concerning religion. The origins of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam began in the Middle East. From the rise of Islam to the Crusades and to the formation of Israel, wars have been fought between these religious groups. So let's get started. Rome number 1, the country of Turkey. We've just talked about the cultural metaphor of Turkey. Now let's talk about the country of Turkey. Letter A, overview. The country of Turkey is often called Asia Minor. It's a smaller version of the whole continent. This region has played an important role in the history of the world. Turkey borders the Black Sea to the north, the Aegean Sea to the west, and the Mediterranean Sea to the south. It is about the same size as the state of Texas. The European part of Turkey shares a border with Bulgaria and Greece. And on its eastern border, Turkey shares a border with the countries of Georgia, Armenia, Iran, Iraq, and Syria. The country of Turkey is mountainous with a higher elevation than its surrounding neighbors. Half of the land is over 3,200 feet above sea level. Also, as we've just mentioned in the important land features, Mount Ararat is located on the east end of Turkey. It's located at 16,945 feet above sea level. Turkey's climate is temperate with hot, dry summers and mild, wet winters. Letter B, politics and democracy. Although predominantly Muslim, it has close ties with Europe. In the 20th century, Turkey sought to secularize the nation. The main man responsible for this was a guy by the name of Kemal Ataturk. Remember last chapter in which you had to identify certain people with certain countries? Kemal Ataturk you need to associate with the country of Turkey. He took over Turkey in 1923 and ruled it. He desired to westernize the nation. He also introduced a long list of reforms: a new non-Arabic alphabet, Western laws, the right of women to vote, a ban on polygamy, a ban on wearing veils and turbans, and the adoption of the West solar calendar to replace the Muslim lunar calendar. Another thing about Turkey is it has the largest population in all of the Middle East. All the countries we talked about last chapter and this chapter, Turkey has the largest population. It also has the second largest population if you want to identify it as a European country, about 70 million people. Most people live in rural areas and deal with agriculture or mining. Turkey joined NATO in 1952 and today is trying to become a member of the European Union. Letter C, Thrace. Thrace is the part of Turkey located in Europe. You can either look at page 435 and see where Thrace is located. It's the area where Istanbul's in. Or if you want to look and see where the mouse is pointing at, it's this area of Turkey, which is identified as Thrace. Istanbul, speaking of which, is the largest city in the Middle East. Istanbul used to be called Constantinople before the Ottoman Empire renamed it after they took it over. The Straits of Bosporus and Dardanelles separate Thrace from the rest of Turkey. In your books, turn to page 438. On page 438, there's a blue box titled Istanbul. I want you to read that to yourself. Once you have finished reading that, please unpause the video and resume. Letter D, Anatolia. Anatolia is the part of Turkey located in Asia. It's one of your land features you need to know. It's the Asian part of Turkey. Ancient cities are located in Anatolia. The ancient city of Troy once stood on the Asian side of the Dardanelles near the Aegean Sea. And the Apostle Paul traveled through Anatolia during his missionary journeys. In fact, the 7 churches of the book of Revelation are located in Anatolia. In the book of Revelation, John discusses their spiritual level to 7 churches. All of these churches are in Anatolia: Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, Laodicea, Smyrna, and Ephesus. In central Anatolia is the capital city of Ankara. It has a population of about 4.5 million people. The region produces wheat, barley, and sugar beets. On the Mediterranean coast, there is more rainfall, and agriculture produces grapes, citrus fruits, olives, tobacco, and cotton. And then located on the easternmost part of Turkey is an ethnic group known as the Kurds. We briefly mentioned them last chapter in Iraq and Iran, but the Kurds are Turkey's largest minority group, and they're located in southeastern Turkey. So this area that you see right here, they'd also be located in northern Iraq and western Iran. They do not have a country of their own. They have been persecuted for years in the countries of Turkey, Iraq, and Iran. Although they are their own cultural group, they do not have a country of their own. Roman numeral 2. That's my backyard. I know some of you students were waiting for me to say something like that in my notes. Of course, running joke, none of this is actually pictures that I've taken, but I like to joke that I own some of these pictures and the property located in it. But let's talk about Roman numeral 2, the country of Cyprus. Cyprus is the 3rd largest island in the Mediterranean Sea. It's smaller than the islands of Sicily and Sardinia. It is about half the size of the state of Connecticut. A little bit more information about this place, this island. Cyprus was the first destination on Paul's missionary journey. See Acts chapter 13. Paul and Barnabas probably chose Cyprus because Barnabas was from there. They visited Salamis, which is now in ruins at the east of the island, and then they visited Paphos on the west coast. On the second missionary journey, Barnabas returned to Cyprus with John Mark. The country itself is very dependent on tourism. The country has a long history. It's been ruled by Egypt, Rome, Greece, France, Turkey, and Britain. It gained its independence in 1960. The island of Cyprus is divided between Greeks and Turks, the Greek Cypriots and the Turkish Cypriots. 69% of the population consists of Greeks who follow the Greek Orthodox Church. 23% are Muslim Turks. These two cultural groups have had a very volatile history on the small island. If you look at page 441, you see a map, a close-up map of Cyprus and the two divisions between the Turks and the Greeks. Some people have wished to divide the island into two countries. Some wish to give part of the country to Turkey and the other part to Greece. Others simply want to maintain the one country, one island policy. One last thing on Cyprian hospitality. Hospitality is one of the cornerstones of the Cypriot way of life, and Cypriots are usually generous and gracious hosts. Even the poorest peasants feel bound to honor guests as lavishly as they can afford to. Turkish Cypriots are far less exposed to foreigners than their Greek counterparts, and consequently treat guests, or in Turkish, misafir, or misafir, with lavish cordiality and generosity. Typically, Cypriots will ply their guests with food and drink, especially coffee. That's all we're going to cover for today. For your homework, I want you to know that you guys have a quiz over pages 435 to 441. That's over Turkey and Cyprus, basically everything we've covered today. Also, I need you guys to do page 155 and 156 in your activities book. Both are maps. Make sure you do both sides of the map. Make sure also that you turn in all of your work. I had a couple of you forget to turn in your activities pages with your quizzes and tests in your first week's packet. So please make sure that you turn in all of your work. Hope you all have a good rest of the day. Be good, do good. Bye.